Have you ever wanted a sneak peek into the process behind your favorite Young Living products? That opportunity is a lot closer than you think. Our farm's website is inviting you to book a tour, see the seed to seal process, and so much more. Let's find out some of the great things you can see when you visit Young Living Farms today. Hello and welcome to Young Living's podcast, The Wild Drop. My name is Jacob Young, your host. Young Living is a world leader in producing and distributing premium essential oils. And this podcast will provide you with drops of information about Young Living, including stories, history, product information, lots of little fun facts, and even more. Welcome back to the podcast, Brett Packer.
Thanks for having me.
It's almost been a year since we've had you on the podcast, but not quite. So last time we had you was for International Essential Oil Day. And so we discussed, what makes International Essential Oil Day, how we actually developed International Essential Oil Day. If you look it up on your Apple calendar, it actually is an official date. So that's really cool. You can go back and check out that previous podcast episode if you'd like to. But with it almost being a year, I'd like to know what's been going on with our farms.
Well, the action never stops on the farms, right? And so it's hard to track it when it's on so many continents and everything. But, something really positive, though, that's happened across the farms, though, is the release of the new Wild.com farm pages. So if you haven't been on, you have to look at these videos. I mean, they're beyond beautiful. I mean, they represent our farm so well, and there's something you can share that should get even a perfect stranger to Young Living Farms very excited about them.
Yeah, the new farm page is beautiful. I will say our old farm page was still pretty. It was a little bit complicated, I will admit. This one is much more simple, super simplistic, super easy to go through. The process of booking your tickets to a farm event, which you can do with almost all of our farms. So come check it out right now during, this winter/springtime. We still got winter harvest going on up at Highland Flats. It's one of my favorite harvests of all time. I'm a little bit biased about it.
Yeah, so the winter harvest did just end in Idaho, and it was just, Gary created this event, and he put all his favorite elements. I mean, the horses, steam distillation, raindrop training. But the event, in a way, just almost recreates itself continually because everyone loves it so much. They bring their own offerings, their own creativity. I think when Gary built it, he knew that, though, and so it kind of just like self-replicates. I've seen what the team just did with it. We had an amazing executive group visit 2 weeks ago, and it was just really special. We did a special distillation of Western red cedar that really got everyone really excited. And then even coming up, we have our winter harvest in Northern Lights at Fort Nelson, British Columbia.
Yep.
And so there's a little bit colder up there, But
Only slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many amazing things that, each farm is such a unique experience. I know on the convention pages, everyone's like, oh, should I go down to the Mona farm? And it's like, well, if you've been to the farm. No. Let me stop you right there. Each farm is so unique and so different from each other that you have to experience all of them, right? And the way that they just came to be, the story behind them, the history, the background, and of course, what's on the farms. Each farm has unique different plants and properties to it, and it's just amazing.
So a great place to start for this, though, is on the website.
Yes.
So maybe you're new to Young Living and you're like, well, where do they have farms? You look at this website and see these amazing new videos, and what you'll also notice is there's a link, younglivingfarmtours.com. And this is a way that you can really easily access the farms.
Yep.
You can send a message, you'll be responded to right away, and you can find availability. And what's really neat about it is we're talking about these different events. We're trying to increase the amount of events we do, the variety, and just different opportunities on the farms. And so we're trying to empower people to build your own event within reason. And so I just encourage everyone to get on the website and book these different tours.
Fantastic, Brett. Yes, create these amazing one-time experiences. Help, kind of build your community, right? I think it's fantastic that we have these events, that we offer these events, and that people can set up their own events if they want to for their own groups, right? I think that's just a fabulous thing that we do. One thing about what's amazing with the new farm page as well is, you'll see the Explore Our Roots page, and directly under that, you'll see the Young Living corporate farms and the partner farms as well. And then you can choose your destination, which is my favorite part. Choose where you'd like to go. So obviously you have North America, Latin America, Asia Pacific, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And if you click on, say North America, then the subcategory pops down and it shows all the farms that are in North America. So it's fantastic. You click on them, then it leads you to that farm page specifically for that farm itself, and you can book your farm experience from right there. Super easy, super simplistic. That whole time that I was walking you through it, I was doing it on my phone right here. So it's super easy to do. It's absolutely beautiful, extremely well done. One thing that we did forget to mention that is a super awesome addition that we will be having to this farm page is live feed cameras. So we're hoping this will be available for all of our farms. I know we're going to be starting probably with Mona, right? Maybe Ecuador as well, the Finca Botanica farm. But you'll be able to tune into these cameras anytime, anywhere, and you'll be able to see the farm live. So I think that's super, super cool. I know some of like National Geographic's live feed cameras get hundreds of millions of views, and they just like seeing what's going on and stuff. So if you ever get bored throughout your day or just want a pretty view, click on that camera when it becomes available, of course, but I'm super excited for that.
Well, and the good news is this truly is coming soon because a lot of these PTZ cameras are already installed, even in Fort Nelson, Highland Flats, St. Mary's, Mona. And so this is something, the infrastructure is already laid at most of these farms.
Fantastic. Okay, so coming sooner than expected.
Coming soon.
I love it. I love it. So I think one thing that's always really good to capture is why are our farms different, and why would you want to come and visit our farms? What sets our farms apart from everybody else's?
The farms and the farm events, and this is the way Gary structured it because he saw the value in it. And I mean, truly, though, he just wanted to share this too, is the educational factor, what you learn. You hear about seed to sill, and then a lot of people till you actually experience it, it's a whole different side of it. If you look at a seed to sill, the comprehensive standards, that's one side of it. But to actually experience it and then meet the staff on the farms and see their devotion to it and how much they live it and the purpose it builds in their life, right? I mean, it's any of it is a rabbit hole you can go deep down, but even understanding regenerative agriculture, reforestation, or our regenerative forestry practices. And then you take all that care and love given in the field and take it into the distillery and see how precise, our distillation practices are, the whole process. And then the same day you can see the laboratory analytics and see that we have full-time lab technicians at our farms. I mean, it's a really powerful experience, and to really have the experience, a lot of the events are even 5 days long.
Yeah. And it's fantastic. Through these events, right, you never see anyone lose passion for what is happening in the moment. Everyone gets so excited and enthralled with what's going on. I absolutely love it. And I love that you talk about the dedication that our Young Living family has when it comes to distillation, when it comes to our farms and our practices, and how we, are very careful with sustaining everything that we have and being stewards of the earth and making sure that we're giving more back than what we are taking from the earth as well. It's, there's two different types of people when it comes to like a work environment. There's the person that's there 9 to 5 for the check, right? And there's the people that truly love their job, that are truly passionate, are moved, right? And that's our Young Living family. Passion, devotion, caring, right? They love what they do. They're super passionate about what they do. And you see that everywhere that you go. And I absolutely love, love, love that.
Well, Jacob, I really like how you highlighted how these farms are so unique compared to one to the other. And there's an interesting paradox, though, because even though, one could be farming herbs in a tropical climate, one could be near the Antarctica, the North Pole, and, be distilling trees and running a tree farm. But there's things you find in common. When you find it in the passion the staff has, the expertise they have. These events, too, there's a level of transparency. We have open conversations with everyone. And really you connect to the human side of it. There's a passion that only happens with the people in Seed to Sill. And so the farm events are a chance to really experience that. And the other thing you find in common in all the farms is the Seed to Sill standards in practice. And so it's really complex, though, because it could be on a whole different agricultural crop or distillation, but yet we can always showcase those standards. It's something, the transparency I love, and I love the human side of it, but that we're able to, I can't think of another, I'm sure all of you have another product you love besides Young Living, and that's okay.
Yeah. But
do they allow you into their fields? Do they let you have open conversations and dialogues with anyone on the farm, the distillery, in their production sites? It's a really powerful experience, and the connections that are made too, and the friendships, the relationships. It's an amazing thing.
And the best part about, practicing and showing these seed to still standards, right, is that you can actually be part of that process. When you're at this event, you can plant the seed and seal the bottle and go through the whole process. And it's a very long, difficult, thorough, very complicated process because our standards are so high and of the best that we don't just settle for good enough, right? That is not acceptable for us, not acceptable by my dad's standards whatsoever. Only the best. And so I think it's fantastic that so many people are like, okay, so what is the process? And we're like, okay, you're going to need to be here for about 5 days and we'll walk you through step by step from the seed to bottling your oil at the very end. And that's like your reward at the end of the event is bottling your own oil. And I love that they all have history and meaning and story to them as well.
Yeah, I feel like the story behind them is such a powerful thing. And the winter harvest, you see the entire harvest. You go out, and just like Gary did, we bring draft horses and we skid the logs, but you see the trees chipped. You see it, then the walking floor trailers offload all the chips. And so the smell that hits you when all these chips come falling out of the back of the trailers. For some of the members, it's their favorite thing. And the pictures that are taken.
Doing chip angels is what we call it.
And as you know, in our distillation standards, though, steam sterilizes everything it touches.
Yeah.
And so this is something we allow and we celebrate even. And you see the formative pictures everyone takes with them stomping the chips, But I've seen, too, at the end, it's such an excitement when the oil finally shows, when the Passover, the excitement that builds. And, I mean, when we did the Western Red Cedar 2 weeks ago, we had people in the distillery late into the night. And they're like, Brett, do you feel that energy? I just feel so excited. And it's, I don't quite want to call it a party, but there's a synergy that forms. That this is all so meaningful and special to us. And there's a side to it that is very analytical, very, comprehensive sets of standards, quality of steam, et cetera, et cetera. But then there's just a spirit to it, too. And those two blended together is just a really special part that happens
fantastic.
On the farms.
It's a beautiful unison. And what was even more special is it's been 25 years roughly since we last distilled Western Red Cedar, right, if I remember correctly? It's been a long time.
And actually at Highland Flats, we've never done a large-scale distillation. We've only done the micro distilleries we do for testing, for analytics. And so this is the first time. And Highland Flats has some of the biggest extraction chambers of all of Young Living.
They're big.
Yeah. And so to do a large volume distillation like that, it was incredible. And the oil has such an interesting color. And through different stages of the distillation, it kept on changing color.
Wow.
And everyone was so excited. And we talk about the different stages of distillation, the heads, the heart, the foreshot, et cetera. But, and that's part of the farms, though. Like, some people find different aspects of it really interesting. Other people might be bored in the lab. Other people, it might be their favorite thing.
Yeah.
But there's that educational opportunity that's experiential, though. It's an experience. It's not just looking at a textbook or watching a YouTube video. It's it's really powerful.
I completely agree. Funny story that I kind of want to share about Highland Flats and kind of you talk about the skidding. The skidding was my favorite part with the draft horses and whatnot. And I know certain people here will not like me sharing this story, but I'm going to share it anyway. But after we would skid the log and attach it to the horses and stuff, my dad would see if people could jump up on top of the log and ride the log out. That was kind of like his little party trick. And a lot of people tried, and it's super tricky because, the trees are slick and they've got ice and snow. What a lot of people didn't realize, and my dad, of course, was able to do it so flawlessly, but obviously with his logging experience that he had years prior to that, he knew how to do it pretty well. But a lot of people also didn't realize he had a little trick up his sleeve and that his boots had tiny little spikes on the bottom of them. And so everyone always wondered, like, how is Gary able to do that so well? And it's because of those tiny little spikes on the bottom of his boots. But he loved it. He'd let people try and he'd giggle because they couldn't quite get it right. We had a few people that actually were able to ride a good 20 feet or so before they'd end up, having to hop off. And so that in itself was pretty impressive. But Gary would ride it all the way back to the distillery. So...
To be honest, I never even tried. But, something that's special that's happened in the winter harvest, I got permission from your mom to show videos of Gary from the winter harvest.
Yeah.
And we have ones going all the way back to 2001.
Oh, wow.
But one video that people love, there's all these videos of Gary surfing the Western Red Cedar, if you will.
Yeah.
And he's even going up hills.
Yeah.
But, I don't think anybody till now knew that he had cleats.
Nope. I don't think anybody else did. The other really great video was we were going to actually go to Disneyland to celebrate Christmas. And one thing that my dad absolutely hates is he doesn't like big, large crowds, right? And convention and all that is like an exception. That was different from like big crowds going to, theme parks and stuff. We were supposed to go to Disneyland, and it didn't end up happening. And my dad's like, actually, we're going to go up to Highland Flats, and we're going to go celebrate Christmas, and we're going to start distillation and stuff. Joseph and I were like kind of bummed about it, but we were kind of excited about it. So my dad was like, all right, I'll do you one better. I know you were hoping to go on roller coasters, but we'll do this instead. So I don't know if you remember this story, but there was a patch of balsam trees. And behind that patch, there is a massive field of just ice, just solid ice. And so my dad had us hop up on the D8 with him, and he would literally just do donuts.
On a D8.
On the D8, yeah. Just skidding and sliding through. And we have videos of it and stuff. So that was my Disneyland ride that Christmas. So.
You're probably one of very few people who have ever actually done a donut in a D8.
Yeah. It's pretty hard to do, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. So. Well, it's been so fantastic with all of the farms that we have. We just recently announced a new one in Okinawa. Is there anything you can share perhaps on that one?
I'm really happy you brought that up, Jacob, because actually February 2nd was the year anniversary of us purchasing that farm.
Yeah.
So it's and it was really special to me and the farm team because this was the first farm that was ever purchased, since Gary's passed. And people maybe thought that wasn't going to happen anymore, and it really meant a lot to us to continue that.
Yeah. And I think, it's not necessarily that we don't want to purchase new farms or anything like that. We have a lot of farms right now that keep up with supply chain and everything that we have. We're pretty set up with the time being, but as Young Living continues to grow and grow and grow, that obviously isn't going to be the case. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize is because of our seed to seal standards and our quality practices, with time, it might become more difficult to find farms that actually abide by our quality standards and stuff. And so I think a lot of people don't realize how much effort is put into actually finding these locations, finding these farms, the tests that we do, the research that we do to make sure that it abides and stands true to our seed to seal quality standards.
And that's a really good point, too, because the vetting process that took place before we could purchase land in Okinawa took over a year.
Wow.
And so, like you're saying, it's really hard to find land, even the land that neighbors us that, we fit our standards because there is a lot of drifting in agriculture. What's amazing about Okinawa is it's actually in this giant protected forest that we're just right on the edge of. So we're able to do agricultural work, but it's just the purity there is just unmatched.
Fantastic. That's super exciting to hear. I can't wait to visit the farm. Just seeing some of the photos, it's absolutely beautiful and breathtaking. So it's going to be a great, great time.
Well, and maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but we're just starting to work on our plans for the distillery there. There's a distillery right now that's actually run in the lab by Dr. Wu, but it's a micro distillery, let's say that. Yeah. So this will be the first Young Living, Gary Young style distillery. The blueprints are in work right now, but a really good plan to actually have it in place. Maybe soon. Maybe, yeah.
I love it. I'm super excited for the groundbreaking and the ribbon breaking and the first distillation. That's always the best thing. It's the very first distillation.
When you coming out?
As soon as I can, as soon as the plans are done. Soon, you said. So, we'll have to see.
Amazing.
So I quickly kind of want to go back to events. I know there's always a lot of people that are asking, so what events are next? And it's a little unfortunate because some of the events that are happening have already registration closed out and filled and whatnot. So the best thing that I can suggest for you is that if there's a farm in particular that you're wanting to visit or you're wanting to go see, go onto the website, go onto the new farms page, and click on that farm and just check the event list. And it will give you dates and times and availability and opening. And we also have the little messaging system there if you're just trying to figure out more information and whatnot. You can go and visit these farms without needing to go to event if you want to. You just need to get it scheduled and set up, which is all done there through the farms page. But I highly encourage you to either hold out on your trip to visit the farm and wait till you can go while an event is happening. The experience is so much more grand, so much bigger, and just it's an amazing experience. And if you haven't been to a farm event yet, or if you've been to a farm event down at Mona but haven't been to one in Highland Flats, make sure to add that to your bucket list.
Yeah, and we do have a really amazing opportunity coming. What was once called the glamping events, done by the beauty school, is now Experience YL.
Yeah.
And so they have an event we've never done at Mona yet. We've done it at Highland Flats several times. We call it the glamping event. And so the registration will be open on that. But it's such an amazing event because, Luba that's over that team, she combines with the farm team. And I hope it's okay I say this, but it's like very yin and yang.
Yeah.
You have like Luba's element with the beauty school, et cetera, but then you have the farming, the agriculture, the distillation. And it's actually like the perfect mix.
Yeah.
And so doing this at Mona is going to be really exciting. It's the first time.
I'm super excited. I got to see where everybody's going to be staying. It's such a fun little place. You guys are going to love it. It definitely is glamping in a sense.
Yeah, we call it the Mount Nebo Lodge. And so if you don't know what that means, that's all the more reason to come here.
Fantastic.
So, but there will be farm experiences too. We'll be doing a lot of the conservation work on what we're calling the Whispering Springs Conservation Corridor. So
Yep.
we have your pollinator work on there.
Yep.
We have a wetland. We have a reforestation we're doing too in Mona for the first time.
Yeah, which also brings up a good point that we have the reforestation project going on for the Palo Santo down in Ecuador coming up very shortly in the next 2-3 weeks, actually.
It's right before graduation.
Right before graduation.
And so, yeah, in southern Ecuador, I mean, that's going to be amazing. We have spring plantings going on in North Idaho. Then we'll have a harvest, the Melissa lavender harvest in France and in St. Mary's.
Yep. If you love grasshoppers and you love daddy long legs, make sure to do the Melissa harvest. You will get plenty of those during the harvest.
But, like Jacob was saying earlier, to actually be there on site, I mean, you can ask any question you want. You can take any picture you want. I always tell people, no, there's no locked doors here. All questions are welcome. And like that, and then you'd be amazed once you're actually there in space with people in the distillery or in the farm, things you will hear that you never even dreamt of happen on our Young Living farms. It's absolutely kind of like a never-ending universe once you start that journey.
And it's a rabbit hole. Once you go through one door, there's a bunch of other doors that you want to go visit as well. While visiting through these doors, I will say, just make sure to have your proper safety equipment on, hard hat, glasses, all the same. We want everyone to have a wonderful time, but be safe at the exact same time as well. Play hard, work hard, be safe as well. So obviously, you're not here in Utah for too long because you got to go back to Idaho, right? That's where you spend most of your time.
Well, I've kind of transitioned. I'm spending a lot more time in Utah.
Oh, okay.
In fact, we have such good teams in Idaho, and I was so proud of them when I was up there. And I'd been in Canada up at Northern Lights before that too.
Yeah.
And I kind of got the chance for the first time to stand back and just watch them do the job, and I was just so proud. And that's
a fantastic feeling. So I guess the question is, till we have you on the podcast next time, what are you going to be doing? Where are you going to be at?
So some of the things I'm really excited about, we're completing the install of the steam generators at Mona.
Yes, that is great.
We're completing the Mount Nebo Lodge. So like the other farms, they have lodging for people to stay. Mm-hmm. And of course, there is the bed and breakfast that's been completed. But on the farm side and the farm event side, we have this really, really amazing facility to stay at. So, I mean, you wake up in the morning at the farm, you work all day, you go to bed on the farm. We're gonna have fun stuff too, like a fire pit and, places where people can create memories and visit.
Yes.
We're moving a steam generator up to Fort Nelson too. So this year, every distillery in Young Living in North America will be ran by a steam generator.
That is fantastic.
And so
what a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, and it's something that we started in 2018 at Highland Flats, and it was a proof of theory. And I mean, the efficiency, the lower emissions, the safety,
the stability.
Yeah, but that's just another thing too. Come to the farm, come to the distillery, and you'll become an expert in steam generators, steam distillation, even the quality of culinary steam. That Young Living has steam like no one else on earth.
Yeah. I completely agree.
There's so many other. We're doing some really exciting things with forestry too, but what we're calling regenerative forestry. And like you said, something I like to say a lot too is, we always give back more than we take, and there is an abundance you can work with in nature, where it provides so much, but in the end, you end up giving back more than you would ever take. And we're really identifying that in forestry. And we've actually had the state governments reaching out to us because we do something no one else does.
Yes.
And so they want to know about it. They want to partner with us. And so I don't want to go too into detail on it, but there's some really exciting stuff you'll be hearing in the future. And, you know, Gary was a logger from Idaho. I mean, I love it because it's kind of like a continuation of Gary's passion for forests. And we'll actually be building forest, and the oil is almost just like a nice little outcome of us reforesting and doing regenerative forest management.
Yeah.
So that's a big one for me right now.
From the organic growth, an organic and natural reward.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I'm super excited for this year and everything that's to come next. And, you know, the farms are such an integral part of who we are.
Yeah.
They are our foundation, right? And I know a few people have already kind of started adopting our practices and stuff. And it'd be great to set an industry standard for the world of the way that we do distillation, the way that we do harvesting, and, you know, our sustainability practices as well. You know, a little bit goes a long way, and it has to start somewhere, and I'm glad we're the ones that have started it. And we're just going to set the perfect example to the world of what is sustainable farming and practices. And so super, super excited for all that is to come. I think I'm most excited for the cameras and the live feed.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be super cool. I'll have to talk with Skylar about this, but I think it'd be really cool if we could stick a camera way up on the mountain and see if we could spot the elk from time to time. So
so much goes on in the farms, and like the excitement, you know, I don't know quite how to put it into words. It's something you have to experience. But, you know, you make a really good point that, you know, other organizations are starting to take notice that have similar values of us.
Yeah.
And they want to know how we're doing the soil conservation, how we're stopping erosion, our farms, when I look at them, I see giant water filters. Now, that's a whole other story, but our farms filter water, and they have a partnership with the atmosphere where they actually cycle carbon and nitrogen from the atmosphere into the soils and purify it. I mean, it's a really powerful thing to be part of. And once the light goes off and you see the power in it, you want to be part of it.
Yes.
And something we've started to do is we're trying to show a way to have people bring this into their home garden.
Yes.
Their yard. Even if you plant your own monarch way station for monarch butterflies, even if you start integrating some of the principles of cover cropping and regenerative agriculture in your garden. Like, this is a movement we want people to be part of.
It's a great movement. Well, Brett, thank you so much for coming back onto the podcast. Hope to have you back. It seems like we need to do a very in-depth video of the science in the farms. It's going to be 5 episodes at least. There's so much science to the farms, the distillation, harvesting, planning, and whatnot. But I'm sure all of you would like it.
You know, I'd love that, and it'd be so great if we got, you know, other faces, other specialists from the farms here.
Yes.
We have some really passionate people, especially about regenerative agriculture. And once you start to understand that soils are a living system, you know, it opens your eyes. And I mean, you know, just one little fun fact, all life on Earth, terrestrial life, 95% of it is in the first 6 inches of topsoil.
Wow.
Like that's the story of life on Earth. Like, soils, a tablespoon of healthy topsoil should have 7 billion microorganisms in it. Wow. So we're building these microbiomes for our soils and treating soils as a living system. And it's just, you know, and that's a really powerful part of seed to still agriculture is you work with living systems, not against them.
The unison. I love it. Well, Brett, once again, thank you so much for your time, your knowledge, your passion, and everything that you do. We're extremely grateful. Love to have you part of the family.
Yeah, anytime. Thank you, Jacob. And, you know, best yet, let's have this conversation on the farm with everyone. So
I love it.
That's where we want to see you. So
let's plan that for the next one.
But thank you so much for having me on the podcast, Jacob.
You're more than welcome. Thank you. Brett is the executive director of Wild Farms. Thanks again for coming on to the show today. And thank you for tuning into this episode of The Wild Drop. Remember, you can listen on iTunes, Spotify, on YouTube, and of course our website, www.youngliving.com. Don't forget to oil up Young Living family. This is Jacob Young, dropping out. Take care.